First of all, thank you so much, Ari, for doing this. And if you don't know Ari yet, you're majorly missing out because she keeps sharing the best, beautiful wisdom about how to live your most authentic life and to upgrade your frequency. And I can tell that ever since I started working on my own energy and just learning a little bit more about quantum physics, your content appeared on my page. And I just knew, like, wow, this person knows what she's talking about. And your journey has been so inspiring. I find it very intriguing how your journey, started from Argentina to the States and then breaking free from corporate life to just living life in your own terms and following your heart and going across different journeys. I want you to share a little bit about that.
Thank you. So, well, I'm Ariana. I'm from Argentina, so I'm Latin American. I migrated to the US in my early 20s. And for a while, I was working the 9 to 5s and the corporate America ladder. And I was in so much friction with my reality because I'm pretty sensitive to misalignment. And that whole time, whenever I was trying to get a promotion within my company, I always thought, I don't even want this. Why am I going to work hard for something that I don't want? For a while, I was pretty upset at reality. I was like, there's no way that this is what I'm here for. If this is life, then I don't want it. I used to think that way. I was depressed and anxious for a while until I started meditating, and meditating took me to try ayahuasca. And then I remember I had an ayahuasca ceremony where I prayed to remove my career blocks because I had studied psychology, I had studied coaching, I had done a yoga teacher training, and yet I was working in corporate America at a super robotic job that didn't inspire me or fulfill me. So in that ayahuasca ceremony, I remember I prayed, like my intention for the ceremony was to remove my professional blocks, help me find my career. Deep inside, I knew that I had something to offer, but I had no idea what that was. When I came back from that ayahuasca ceremony, a month later, I got fired from my 9 to 5. And that's when the journey of finding my purpose started. A year after, this whole journey of self-discovery took a year of me surrendering my gifts to God. There was a point after I got fired when I didn't have a job where I realized that I had two paths. I would either look for 9 to 5s and continue to apply to jobs I didn't want, continue to write cover letters trying to convince someone that I wanted to work for them when I actually didn't. Or I had the option to consider God as my boss. And that is the one I went with. And that was the best decision of my life. I remember I prayed and I told God, I know you have something for me. Just use me. I want to work for you. I am not my boss. You are my boss. Show me the path. And God showed me the path.
Wow, I'm getting chills because I was also working in corporate America and I hated my job. I hated corporate America. I hated every moment in it. Regardless of how good you get, you're just like, I feel hollow. I feel miserable. This can't be it. This cannot be what we're working for. Within, like 60 days of me really intentionally sitting with this, I don't think this is right for me. I mean, I have been feeling that for a while, but I really dedicated to meditating and praying and breath work daily. I started and ended my day with such deep practices. And I told God, I literally took my laptop and I put it on my altar and I was like, take this negativity away from me. I'm so done with this negative shit. Within 8 hours, can you imagine? And I was like,
When something is misaligned, the universe is literally waiting for you. It's kind of like, just say the words. It's us who attach. But when something is misaligned and you use your free will to say, okay, I'm willing to release this, please take it away. The universe is like, I was waiting for you to ask for it. Here we
Yeah.
go. Because when we say the universe is always working in my favor, or the universe always has my back, that's what it means. The universe is always trying, like your soul is always pushing you to your soul path. It's your ego that's
Yeah.
attached. It's
Yeah.
your ego that was told that you have to figure out this life on your own, that you are separate from source. Source is outside of you. When you realize divinity is within you, divinity
Yeah.
is always trying to guide you, but you have the free will to choose to listen, or to listen to the system that's telling you that you should want to work for that corporation,
Yeah.
that you are powerless without it.
I mean, it is hard though, right? Because even when I was wishing to get out of there, I'm constantly thinking, but what am I if I don't have this job? And what does it mean for someone who moved to the States, did a degree, got a job, spent so many years and resources on something to build a life, and then to walk away, immediately society is like, oh, she failed. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, even if you do all the work, I'm like, this is the best thing for me. I know once I get out of here, life is big. You still have these doubts.
Exactly. They want you to follow the path that the masses follow.
Yeah,
And when we look at the masses, we see that I don't want to be like them, because the masses are sick, anxious, depressed.
exactly. Yeah.
You know, I always say I don't want to be liked by society. I want to
Hmm.
be liked by God.
Yeah,
And
100%.
God, my soul. I want my soul to be content with my choices, not
Yeah,
society. And because when you follow what society is telling you to do, what society labels as success, that's when, if it doesn't align with what your soul wants, which usually it doesn't,
hmm,
that's when your
yeah,
soul starts ringing the bell. And the bell sounds like, you get sick, you get anxious, you have health problems, you are uncomfortable, you're in friction, and people are like, oh, I have anxiety. And then I go to this doctor to take these pills, and it's like, no, it's your soul telling you, hey,
yeah,
I'm not comfortable. Let's go. There's something better for you. But what you were telling me about, oh, I didn't want to live because I thought, if it's not this, then what's there for me?
yeah,
That's the scarcity mentality that they injected in us. It's like, outside of all of this artificial system that they've created of like robotic brainwashed workers, there's nothing. So we need to
yeah,
move from that scarcity mentality outside of the box to realize that the universe is abundant, it's
yeah,
infinitely abundant. And if I have the
yeah,
creator within me, I can create the possibilities for myself, but the possibilities will not be revealed for me until I take the step. The path is revealed to you as you go, after you take the first step. Most people stay stuck because
yeah,
they don't see the path, and they don't see that the path will reveal itself when they move.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it is, fully believing and just trusting the path and surrendering, which is so much easier said than done. Because I feel like I keep telling God that, listen, I fully trust, I'm fully surrendering. But, then there are questions you ask. And then it's like, if you fully, truly surrender, why are these questions coming up?
Exactly. That's why you need to always like monitor your thoughts and be like, okay, that's the classical separate yourself from your thoughts, right? Witness them, observe them,
Yeah,
but don't believe them. Observe them and say, okay, this one comes from ego, this one comes from fear, or
yeah,
this one comes from soul. And soul, the thing is that the way when your intuition speaks to you, it's clear, it's not whining, it's direct. It's telling you, hey,
yeah,
call this person, post this, start this business. Whereas fear is just whiny, it's loud. That's why I always tell people, you have to seek divinity. Like, divinity exists within you, obviously,
yeah.
but you have to invite it in.
I kind of have some trouble fully grasping just the whole concept of free will. I have so many questions about, really, do we actually have free will, or are we just playing the different possibilities and probabilities out there? I don't know. I would love to hear your thoughts on free will.
I think that your free will comes down to one of two options. You either choose the path of love or the path of fear. That's it. It comes down to two sponsoring thoughts or emotions or, well, duality, right? So if if we're living in duality, one side is love, faith, trust, God, and the other one would be the other side of the spectrum. What is not love? Fear. Now, what is not love is technically illusion, right? Because love is all that actually exists, is that oneness, the truth behind the veil of illusion. So in illusion, in duality, in this life experience, we always are choosing between love and fear. So anything that happens in my reality, I can choose to look at it through the lens of love or through the lens of fear. Every decision that I make will come either from love, from trust, from faith in my creator, in the divinity within me, or from fear. When I chose to, let's say when I lost my job, if I chose to continue to look for 9 to 5s, even though that's not what my heart wanted, because my heart wanted to not have a boss and to help people and stuff, if I kept looking for 9 to 5s, that would have come from a place of scarcity or unworthiness, thinking I am not capable of finding a job that actually aligns, that I actually want to do, right? And that scarcity, where does it ultimately come from? Fear that ultimately comes from the illusion of separation from God. That is the thing. So when we talk about free will, yes, all versions of reality exist. You are constantly at every second tuning into creating one version of your reality. But the how you are creating it, the where you're tuning in from, is from the free will of looking at something, perceiving something from love or from fear. That's why every time I feel anxious or every time I feel scared, I remind myself, okay, yes, this problem seems very real right now, but I know truth, the truth that Jesus said will set me free. Jesus, not as a religious figure, I know you know this, but like as a master, that was trying to teach us Christ consciousness, not as a person who was trying to start a religion or write a Bible, but someone who was teaching us to follow him, not as a person, but as his consciousness, the consciousness of seeing behind the veil, the truth that will set you free, is the knowing that you are divine. You are eternal. You cannot be broken. You cannot be killed. You are an eternal being. And when you choose to see something through the veil of fear, that's when you create that friction, that chaos, that illness, that anxiety, that scarcity. That's the free will. So do I have a problem? Do I label it as a problem? Do I react to it as a problem? Or do I choose to focus on truth? And that's what it means to put God first. I feel like religions probably messed it up a little bit and made it look like putting God first is a religious term. But in reality, to put God first is something that I try to do in every situation. Like, someone is being mean to me, I put God first. It means I choose to see through the veil of their ego. This person is acting from ego, but I still see the Holy Spirit in them. I still believe in their essence. I tell God, God, I choose you over the illusion of their ego right now. Show me truth. Show me the truth behind this. Let's say you have a problem, a financial problem. You have two options. You either react from fear and you stress because how am I going to pay for this? I don't see within my conditions the how I'm going to pay for this. Or I choose God and I say, God, I know that scarcity is an illusion because you are good, because you provide for me. So help me see the truth behind this. Help me see how how this serves me, because probably this is happening to make you uncomfortable and get you move towards the right direction. Probably this financial situation is intended to make your brain think differently and start that business that you're supposed to start, or start creating art instead of staying at this job that doesn't pay you enough. Maybe it's happening for you and your ego is saying, no, I hate this, I am a victim. And then you stay there, because until you learn that lesson, you will stay in the same level of the game, like a video game. If I don't kill the dragon, I don't level up. I just move around complaining about the dragon.
Yeah. Wow. That was that was amazing. I think a lot of things came up for me during the conversation. And one of the things that really stood out for me was when you told about, not wanting to look for other 9 to 5, because I'm exactly there. And everyone, my parents are like, listen, you've taken time off. Why don't you just apply? Because it's not aligned with me. The minute I left the States, like the thing I promised myself is I'm not going back to corporate. I don't care, because physically, like I'm having physical reactions at the thought of going back to corporate. Like I don't fit in. I've always known it. Can you imagine doing some? I mean, I know you can because we've done it, but like doing something you hate 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. It doesn't make sense. How and why will I do that to myself? So this question comes up a lot for me. Why are you not looking for a job? Why are you being comfortable? And I'm like, this, if you think this is comfortable, it's not. I know that there's a path for me and I'm going on that. And do I have all the answers yet? No. But do I trust? One thing I do know for sure is corporate is not the answer and I'm never going back. So applying for those jobs is just a waste of time and energy, which I will not be doing.
And I feel like there's so many people in that situation. I've been there. Most of us have been there. And what's key here is, okay, you already know what's not for you. Now you have to move. I love that you're doing this right now, right here with me.
Yeah.
And that's why I told you yes immediately, because this is you moving. This is you moving towards your goal. I got goosebumps. This is you moving towards what you know is for you. Maybe it's going to be a podcast. Maybe it's going to be a YouTube channel. Maybe it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as you move, the universe starts showing you the path.
Exactly.
I want you to imagine that every time that you make a move towards your goal, or towards what actually makes your heart sing, there's a party in the sky. Every time I do something, whether it's I go on a run, or I decide to take a step. Like the other day, I did my first live on Instagram. And I was like, because I'm doing something that scares me, but feels amazing, there's a party in the sky. I always imagine Jesus, Krishna, like I literally imagine them all dancing and being like, yay, because that's it. We're here to move towards joy and excitement. Now, you just said, you think this is comfortable? It's not. Okay, no, it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable, but make sure to not stay in that uncomfortable zone of I don't move. Commit to do something new and scary every day, like this that you're doing today, and ask God to show you the way, right? Something I did was like, okay, God, I know, I get it that the 9 to 5 is not the way. Show me the way. Show me the way, but show us to be shown the way, not from a place of scarcity. This is important. Not from a place of, well, I have to make money, because then you're going to be applying that pressure to your work of, I have to start making money from it. And when you have that expectation, then you condition yourself. You're not allowing the work to flow free. You're telling it, but you have to make me money, right? So this is an important calibration that we need to go back to every day. Make sure that, hey, I trust that God will provide for me. And how God will provide for you doesn't have to look like what your ego tells you, right? When I left corporate America and I was like, okay, how am I going to make a living now? I thought I'm going to start posting. Like, I know that I'm supposed to create content. I'm going to start making TikToks. I'm going to open a YouTube channel. I put myself in that super uncomfortable position of putting myself out there and looking cringe. Who does she think she is, posting for 5 followers, right? whatever, that's ego talking.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I said, I know the universe will provide for me.
Yeah.
That didn't mean that I knew that I was going to be making money from YouTube or from clients or anything. I just knew that God was going to provide. Something that I understood is it is capitalism and it is my
Mm.
ego that tells me the money has to come in a certain way, in a certain amount, or anything. What God needs right now is that I am provided for in order to have a roof, to have food, and to be able to create. That's it. The how is God's. Is God's. It's not mine. So I'm not gonna put the pressure in my work of this has to sell. I just said this has to flow. This has to be what resonates with me right now. That's also why my work has changed through this year, because I'm not, thank God, the same person that I was a year
Yeah.
before. And I'm always evolving, and just speaking about what's resonating with me in the moment. And that
Mm-hmm.
will attract naturally the
Exactly.
people
Yeah.
who resonate with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh my God. So many beautiful, good tips. I was actually talking to my niece the other day, and I was just telling her how, when we listen to our body, we get all the answers instead of literally sitting with your mind a lot. And
Mhm.
I was telling her, oh, trust your body's going to tell, your body's going to tell. But I realized what I'm saying is just my experience. And I didn't feel like I could actually tell her how to tap into that or how do you know? Because I feel like a lot of the times we find it hard to differentiate between the fear, the resistance, intuition. And I just wanted to see how do you differentiate? How do you know where this feeling is coming from or what exactly this feeling is before you take action?
I think it's hard to put it into words precisely because truth doesn't it's not reduced to human language. That's why I don't think we
Mm,
can name God correctly. But
yeah,
in terms of how it feels in your body, again, right? Fear is loud, is whiny, is ruminating, and it comes with questions. But
mm,
what if? But what if? What if? Right?
mm,
Like, and I want you to know it's a practice. Like it's like a training a
yeah,
muscle. Eventually, you start understanding it better. But intuition is cut and dry, and it doesn't ever feel like anxiety. It feels like certainty.
yep,
It may be a scary step to take, but it doesn't feel like anxiety, like this
yeah,
whiny, annoying little voice. When you know you're meant to move somewhere, move towards a direction, and you know it from your intuition, that's when that's when fear will appear. Yeah, like fear will appear and will say, "Oh, but what happens if we fail?" Right? Well,
mm,
that voice is fear. That
mm,
is the anxiety. But the voice that told you, "Hey, move in this direction," is not what felt scary.
yeah,
That's why it's
mm,
also important to, as soon as you get a download of do this, go and
mm,
do it. Because the more you wait from the idea until you take action, that's when you allow doubt and fear, aka the enemy, to sneak in and tell you, no, but what if, what if? To
yeah,
simplify it, I'm going to say, move towards joy and excitement. Move towards what feels true to you. When there's a voice that tells you, but how am I going to make money with it?
mm,
But what are others going to think? But what if I fail? Just recognize that that is not coming from joy and excitement. That is coming from fear. So that's how you know, oh, this is my limitation. This is
mm,
what has kept me where I am right now. If I listen to it, it's like I am saying yes to the jail, the mental jail. If I look at it and say, thanks for trying to protect me, but I'm moving anyway, you can come. You can come with me, but you're going to be in the back seat. You don't have access to the steering wheel. You don't have access to the aux cord. You are just going to stay there. That's when you know you're moving in the right direction. You have to listen to what brings joy and excitement. Listen, this is very simple. Anything in regards to, but what if I don't make money with it? What are people going to think? Anything about failure, all of that, you have to get used to recognizing it as not truth, as illusion. That's why when you know the truth, you immediately start invalidating the voice of fear, because when it appears, you see through the veil. You see the truth behind it, that as long as I move with unconditional love for my life, for my reality, for my experience, as long as I trust, as long as I have faith, everything will be okay. That doesn't mean I'm going to obtain the results my ego wants. That just means I'm moving in the right direction, because there's ultimately just two directions. I either move towards faith and trust, which is love, which is God, or I move towards fear, which is enemy, which is ego, which is the illusion of separation from God. But if I know my truth, that I am God itself, I'm a fractal of it, I am a piece of it, and I am here to create, then what would I fear?
Yeah. Oh.
Because sometimes we try to rationalize thoughts. The worst thing you can do is have a conversation with fear. Fear comes, right? It tells you, why would you start a podcast if you don't even have an audience? Who cares about what you have to say? And you start rationalizing it. No, but maybe if I talk about these, people will care. You feed that consciousness that feeds off your fear, your anger, your sadness, your chaos. If you trust in God, if you trust in the divinity within you, you will take that step and you will move towards faith. And that's when the universe will give you more reasons to materialize that reality.
Yeah.
When you stay somewhere because of fear, you materialize more conditions to make you feel fear. When you move towards faith, you materialize more conditions to have faith, to trust.
Yeah. Something I'm really realizing is what you talked about, choosing trust over fear, and how so many instances when you say something and just believe in it, how it comes true. Sometimes when you put that intention out there and tell the universe, this is going to happen, it just happens. And I think it's so important for us to know and trust our own voice and ability to create the reality.
Exactly. It happens, and when it doesn't happen, it's because there's something better coming. It's because there's a redirection towards something even better that you're right now not imagining. But that's the thing. You have to believe before it happens. And most people operate the other way around. They are
Yeah.
like, I'll believe when I see it.
When I see it.
And
Yeah.
and according to your faith, it's given to you. Especially what I notice is that when I say things without expectation, is that it happens the most. When I put a lot of expectation in it, like it's going to happen in this way, but it needs to happen because otherwise I won't be okay, that's when it doesn't happen. But when I just say it randomly, like knowing that I am okay either way, that's when I am vibrating in abundance. Because that's the thing, right? You have to align your intention with how you are vibrating. I feel like in this regard, there's a lot of confusion because sometimes we're like, your frequency is higher, your frequency is lower. The truth is that you're eternal. You are this huge, immense, eternal being, right? But we bury ourselves under layers and layers of fear that can look like scarcity, lovelessness, unworthiness, and stuff like that. But so when you are intending for something and having faith that it is going to happen, but also detaching from realizing that
That's so
whether or not
important.
it happens, you will be good either way. That's the key. Sometimes people ask me a lot, how do I detach? If I detach, does it mean that I don't care about it? No, of course, yes, you care, you want it, but your happiness and your peace doesn't depend on it.
Yeah, that is so important. There was this one thing that I slightly touched upon how I wasn't feeling at home in most places. And now again, I have moved out of that dream apartment of mine. And so my question is, what are your thoughts on like, is home a place, a state of consciousness, or is it something else entirely?
In my opinion, um, home is never external to you. Home is God, home is source. And as long as God, as long as God is the only conditioning factor for your happiness, you will be happy wherever you go. If you are happy only because you're at a certain apartment, as soon as that's taken away from you, then
Yeah.
then you were not happy. You were not happy.
Mm,
You were feeding off an illusion, right? I think that the goal is to work on being able to create peace and unconditional love wherever we are,
yeah.
whether my reality is showing me what I want to see, or whether my
Yeah.
reality is showing me what I don't want to see, because you need to know that it will inevitably happen.
Mm,
Manifestation is not about, well, I am doing everything right, then why do bad things keep happening to me? The point
mm,
is the return to God, because we're here to find God. The
yeah.
return to God is to be able to sit with God in whatever situation. And as long as God is the only conditioning factor for my happiness, nothing external can hurt me. That's real
Yeah.
happiness. If your happiness depends on a relationship, a car, a financial
Yeah.
situation, a job,
Yeah.
then it's fake and it can be taken away. It's very fragile. You will be
Mm,
happy for a little bit, and then when it's taken away, and you know what? Most likely it will, when that's the case, it will
yeah.
be taken
It
away
will be
because you
taken
need to
away.
learn the lesson.
Yeah. Yeah. For a beginner who wants to really connect with themselves and, be it detachment or getting closer to God, getting closer to themselves, just living in alignment, what would you say? Like, I know you mentioned meditation, and I think meditation kind of takes some pre-work. I don't think a person who's so dysregulated can just tap into, meditation. So
Mhm.
I'm asking you, how did you start, and what would you recommend to just get started?
What I would recommend to get started is prayer. Not just
Mm,
for someone who's a beginner, but also for someone who probably you meditate a lot, but sometimes you are so stressed, so anxious that you cannot sit down and
mm,
meditate. So either prayer or breath work are what comes prior, what will calm you down. I find that prayer puts me in that state where I allow myself to meditate. Even if
yeah,
you don't believe, or you're just trying to get into that
yeah,
spiritual life, just pray in general. Pray to a higher
mm,
power. Pray with faith. It doesn't matter what you call it. If you call it God, Jesus, the universe, Krishna, it doesn't really matter. Just focus on asking the infinite intelligence within you. You can even call it the power of your subconscious mind. Just ask for guidance, ask for faith, ask for peace,
mm,
and it will be revealed to you. No prayer goes unanswered. Something else I'm going to say is that besides the practices, it's always a matter of your perspective. Start looking at life through the perspective of, is this fear or love? Oh, it's fear. So
mm,
let me go back to love. If you can get yourself in that practice, you will go up so many steps, because you will stop wasting your time in
yeah,
friction with your reality and creating resistance, and you will see it for what it is. Oh, I'm not going to engage with this illusion, because if it's stealing my peace, if it's showing me scarcity, if it's showing me illness, if it's showing me um and lovelessness, it's because it's fake. So even if I'm scared, I will move towards love. For example, you want to start being a content creator, but you're so scared because you don't know if anyone will care about what you have to, your content and what you have to put out there. Okay, you look at that fear and you're like, let me see this for what it is. Is it truth? Capital T. When I say truth,
mm.
I mean capital T. Is it truth, or is it illusion? If it's fear,
Mm,
it's illusion. So I will
yeah.
respond to it moving towards faith, even if my mind cannot see the full path or how things are going to work out. If you start looking at everything in your reality through the lens of love versus fear, and I choose love, you will be moving in the right direction and you will be start being guided towards the path that your soul wants to fulfill.
Yeah. You also mentioned that, when you get these downloads, we need to act on it without taking too much time. I would love for you to elaborate on that, but also I want to just share that I've been kind of stuck with this, just having downloads or thoughts but not really taking action. I think, like you mentioned, it's the voices in your head, the questions that happen, and then I don't know, there's just some resistance towards actually doing it. What would you say for that?
I will say that always say the voice that's telling me not to do it is what's keeping me where I am. If I
Mm,
want a different result, I need to act differently. Normal me would not act, then I will act. It doesn't matter. You just have to do it blindly. You have to do it without thinking of anything, understanding that the possible negative circumstances are just fake. So if I know this is fake, I will act regardless. Just say fuck it and go for it by knowing that if you stay in the known, you will only get more of the known. You want new experiences, you want a new
yeah.
job, you want a new career, you want new adventures. All of that is in the unknown. As long as you continue to be the same person, you will only get more of what you know of. If you want that upgrade, upgrade yourself by allowing yourself to act in the opposite way as you would normally act. Normally, I wouldn't act, so this time I will act because I know the universe will reward me with that frequency upgrade. This is a metaphor. It's not that it works like that, but that's the point. You will get that frequency upgrade. So do it by telling yourself, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it because I want the frequency upgrade. That's it. Now, your head is telling you, but what if I fail? What if people talk? And the point is, people are just there for the plot in this situation.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't really matter. Your work, for example, your work doesn't have to resonate with people. Always think about this. You are moving towards that ideal version of you. That ideal version of you is in a different timeline. That
Yeah.
ideal version of you doesn't even care about the current people that could judge you. I remember when I
Mm,
started, I had like 2,000 followers on Instagram, and there was a very short time that I was like, oh, but if I post on Instagram, what are these people who went to high school with me going to think? And then I thought the version of me that has an audience really doesn't care about what the people
mm,
in, who went to high school with me think.
yeah.
Now I care because all my reality is like, oh, these are all of my followers. But when you have, let's say, 100,000 followers, who cares about those 2,000? Those 2,000 who could criticize you and immediately unfollow you, all of them, and you will still have 98,000 other people who care about what you have to say. So
Yeah.
start thinking, feeling, and acting from the version of you who is where you want to be, not from the version of you that you are now, because otherwise you're just going to continue creating the same
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I know your answer for this. I know the answer, but I just want you to elaborate a little bit. So, is reality fixed or is it shaped by consciousness? And how does consciousness shape our realities?
Obviously, we're shaping it. What I want to say is anyone who's listening to this, or even you, try it out. Try it out. Look at how your reality changes according to how you're looking at the situation.
Yeah.
And that's it. And look at how you obtain different results according to how you respond. It's
Yeah.
always a level of the game. It literally imagine a game, right? Like a video game in which if you're not understanding the situation, the lesson behind whatever you're going through, you will continue to find the same lesson in different
Mm.
people, in different
Yeah.
jobs, right? But the moment you change yourself, the conditions suddenly open up. It's like it's like when you change yourself, you put the right code that
Mm.
opens the next door. So your reality will seem fixed. Will
Mm.
seem fixed as long as you continue to think the same, because it's going to continue to show you the same patterns. That's
Mm.
because you are being the same person, so it does seem fixed. Try changing yourself and see how reality changes.
Okay, so when we say infinite realities, if you think in that perspective, wouldn't everything is so changeable in a second, like the whole world, the way the world exists? And also, I mean, I do think your reality and my reality or perception, like any individual you take, is kind of different because all of us live experience in a different way. But what does it really mean that there are infinite realities? And if that's the case, like, do you think in an instant humanity and consciousness and the life as we know today can completely change?
I think that what can change is the version of it that you particularly experience, not all of
Mm.
humanity's. But in regards to the collective, what I'm experiencing right now is kind of like this spiritual war between
Mm.
the light and the darkness.
Yeah.
And I think that it is all going to move towards one direction for humanity. And
Mm.
us, as we shape our individual reality, we are putting coins into the collective. So what I think is that we are always able to see out there what exists within us, and because we can
Mhm.
change what exists within us, we can change the version of reality that we eventually experience.
Mm. Yeah, right now, honestly, everything that's happening, it's so bone chilling. But I don't know, something in me saying that this was necessary, like I want people to wake up. But also, the thing is, there are some people who are just not going to. Whatever information you throw at them, whatever reality they see, I feel like they don't want to be awakened. I don't know if it's the fear of accepting the reality or they're running from it, or it's just like it's not my immediate problem, so I don't really care about it.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
like a consciousness that's taking over certain
Mm.
people. And it is on us to protect ourselves from that consciousness to not take
Yeah,
over us. So,
it's
how can I
important. Yeah.
be more of God? Because the universe, the world needs more of God. So, how can I
Mm.
be more like God? How can I bring God to how I look at people, how I look at reality, how I interact with people, and within me, in what ways does that consciousness exist within myself? Every time that I react from fear or from anger, I am embodying more and more
Yeah.
that consciousness. So to me, that's why if we're all with our energy putting like a coin in the piggy bank of the collective, then what am I putting, in the piggy bank of the collective? If I react to what I'm seeing by hating and by wanting to kill someone, by wanting to bomb someone, and that happens to me, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. Sometimes I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
honestly, and then I realize, oh, that's fear. That is coming from thinking that you solve the 3D within the 3D, but you solve the 3D within the spiritual. So I have
Yeah.
to embody love. I have to embody love. I can, you can murder a politician, and another one will emerge that is the same
Yeah.
or worse. That's what we've been seeing throughout history, because that's not how you solve things. You solve things from the spiritual plane. And that happens in your life too, right? Like when people tell me, how do I get over bad habit? Okay, what's a bad
Mm.
habit? It's you harming yourself. So ultimately, what is that? It's harm, right? So how do I solve it? I solve it from the spirit. When you try to solve a habit from the mind, it's going to take forever and you're going to go back to it. It can take years and years and years of therapy, right? But when you ask the spirit to help you with it, when you use your free will for your spirit to help you with it, that's when you are choosing love instead of choosing ego. If you try to fix ego from ego, you're trying to choose something from the same mind that created it. That's to me, that's the main issue with us, is that we were raised to think from the rational mind and to experience reality from our limited five senses, and thinking that everything has to be solved from the material. We have a materialistic perspective of life, and that alienates us from most of what we are, which is from our eternity, right? From our immense source. So that ultra hyper focus in the third dimension is what makes us feel powerless and makes us think that they have to react to violence with violence. Because if I look at the conditions from a logical perspective, when I don't understand the power of love, the power of God, then I do think, oh, the only way to stop this evil person is with more evil, or the only way to make money in a situation of adversity is by looking at the conditions, right? Oh, getting a 9 to 5. But when you think from the spiritual, that's when you're thinking from the infinite field of possibilities. That's when you realize, oh, the possibilities are endless. It doesn't look like it in this plane, because the plane that I'm looking at is only showing one of the possibilities. When I turn the radio on, I cannot listen to all of the stations at the same time. I can only listen to one. That doesn't mean that other versions don't exist, but I cannot look for the other versions within the one that I'm looking at right now. Do you see? If I'm listening to the pop station, then I cannot be like, oh, rock must not exist because I cannot hear it here. That's not where it's at. It's in the field. It's in the quantum. You have to tune into it.
Well, I really want to say that was a powerful answer. I think that was my favorite part. I really liked all the analogies you used and how deep we went in that. And it just made me think that, we are all actually living and walking antennas, and we just need to tune to whatever we want to experience, where we want to be, just like what music we listen to on the radio station. So yeah, that was amazing. Thank you so much.
Exactly.
Growing up, was there a specific moment when you felt little different or destined for something beyond the usual ordinary day to day? Was there a specific moment, or was there an awareness from birth? And how did you really lean into it?
I've always felt different, but not in a good way. Because of my upbringing and my limiting beliefs, I always thought of myself as less than. And I always thought of myself like I always felt pretty different, because the feeling that I grew up with was everyone else is asleep. I remember in elementary school, like a teacher would be unfair, or my classmates would be like bullying someone, right? And I was like, hey, this is unfair. How is nobody else speaking up? That was always my feeling. And eventually why I got fired from corporate America was that feeling of like, hey guys, don't you see that this is not it? Don't you see that this is unfair? But it's this sensitivity to misalignment that I expected others to have, and others just didn't. Others were happy with that literal wage slavery, right? Or with everything that was unfair. To them, it was Disneyland. And to me, it was like, guys, do you not see it? So I think that if something is different within you, embrace it, explore it. We are told not to. We are told, shut up, don't speak up, like quiet that voice. Nobody cares. Follow the status quo. The status quo is what brought society where it is now. Silence is complicity, silence is violence, and that doesn't only apply for societal conditions. That applies to you. That voice of your soul that is different. Embrace it, explore it instead of rejecting it.
Yeah. I agree. I too felt, how are people not seeing this? Be it at work, be it at school, when injustices happen, it's just like, are you not seeing it? But the truth is, I've been trying to learn that everyone is not like you and you're not like everyone else. They have their own perspectives, they have their own feelings. Then I have to remind myself, I don't know what they're going through or what their perspective is on this. But yeah, even at work, I was very vocal and everything, every time I said something, they're just like, who the fuck does she think? Like, why is she speaking the truth? So yeah, I mean, I know what you're talking about, and I'm glad we're not there anymore, in that kind of environment.
Well, we're not there anymore because of changes within us. Think about it. Think about this, because I used to think that my role was to wake others up, but within the third dimension, again, within the conditions, right? Like, wake up. We need to fight the system. We need to fight whatever the system was
Mm,
at work, at a larger scale, right? We need to fight. We need to resist it. And all of that time, I was in a lot of friction with
mm,
myself. I was in so much friction because of living in capitalism that at some point I had a moment of awareness. I was like, okay, wait, I either let this destroy me, or I
mm,
realized that there's a reason why my soul chose to come to earth and
mm.
incarnate at this point. So if my soul
Yeah.
chose this, I need to stop resisting my soul's choice
Mm,
and go with it. What is it for me here? That's when I
yeah.
started posting online and stuff. And what I realized is that that feeling that I've always had of wanting to wake others up, wanting to change things, all of that was so real and was
Mm,
my purpose and it was my mission. But I was going into it from the wrong perspective, because I was going into it from the third dimension perspective of, we need to fight the boss, we need to fight,
yeah.
and with hate. And even though my ego will tell me that my hate was justified, it
Mm,
is still hate. There's a book called Reality Transurfing. It talks about pendulums. It talks about thought forms. So if you think about how everything is, think of everything as thought energy, right? So let's
mm,
say capitalism is a pendulum. The more I hate on it, the more I direct my energy to it, I am feeding it. People like Donald Trump, you can love him or hate him. In whatever way you are feeding him, you are feeding
mm,
the pendulum of Donald Trump. You are giving him your energy. He's stealing it
yeah.
from you. And think about it. You wake up, you see a reel, you start hating it. Your whole day you are upset,
Mm,
you're anxious, you're scared because of Donald Trump. So you gave him, think of it like a
the power,
dementor.
yeah.
He took all of your energy.
Yeah.
And what did you do all day long? You served the enemy. You made agreements
Mm,
with the enemy. You made agreements with that consciousness
wow.
that wants to be fed off your fear. That energy is fed off your fear. So all day, instead of thinking of love, instead of being in a place of trust, instead of being
Mm,
with God, this is the point. Instead of being with
yeah.
God, you are vibrating in hate and anger. This doesn't mean spiritually bypass. Don't look at it, because anyway, it doesn't really affect you, and just be toxic positivity, right? It's more about, hey, God, I choose you. I choose God.
Mm,
I meditate on God instead. That's, I am helping. I am raising the awareness. I am raising the vibration.
yeah.
I am actively choosing love. You see, I am not getting distracted by watching Netflix and saying, it doesn't affect me. I'm just going to go shopping. No, I am choosing love. I am choosing God. So I realized that my place in society was to, yes, awaken others, but not from the place of, hey, we should hate on our boss and we should hate on
Mm,
HR and we should hate on these politicians, even though I still don't,
yeah.
celebrate them. But what I do, what I think, what I do now, and this is when God gave me my audience, right? If God had given me an audience back then, when I was hating and when I was just
Mhm.
thinking that violence is solved with violence and stuff, I wouldn't have helped anyone.
Yeah.
Now, I do empower people, but I don't
Yeah.
empower people by telling them you should choose violence. I empower people by telling them you should choose God, because that's when you're most powerful. Because when you are choosing violence, that is the paradox, and that is the lie that the enemy wants you to believe. The enemy, metaphoric terms, okay? But there's this consciousness of evil, of hate, of fear
Yeah.
that feeds off you getting scared and hating on these politicians. This consciousness doesn't want you to just join them. Because if you don't join them willingly, as in, yes, I'm gonna do all of these dark things too, you still
Yeah.
join them by wanting to do these dark things to the people who are doing the dark things. It is
Mm.
paradoxical, it is counterintuitive, but the point is, what am I embodying right now and what am I choosing? That's why, in my opinion, a revolution will not succeed without God.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That was so powerful. I just want to make sure, I'm sure you know this, but I still have to tell you that, you know, the work you're doing, just speaking and with so much clarity and authenticity and deep awareness, it is really improving the consciousness. Like you mentioned, all the coins that you're putting in. I'm very grateful for that. Truly, truly, very, very grateful, because you're giving out so much amazing information and downloads and wisdom for free. I don't have enough words to say that I feel incredibly blessed just to have seen you on my phone to now seeing you here, and even just talking to you and getting this wisdom from you and being able to share this on my platform, your platform, is huge. And I just want to really thank you for increasing the vibration of the consciousness overall. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. And we'll do it again. We'll do it again soon.
Is there anything before you go you want to just say to the people who are watching, anything at all that comes up for you?
I'm just going to say, do what Andrew is doing and follow your dreams and get started and take that first step. It's going to feel cringe. It's supposed to feel uncomfortable. It's supposed to. If it doesn't feel uncomfortable, it's probably more of the known. Step into the unknown, even if it's with fear, but with faith that you're doing something different, and you will meet success. And
Wow, thank you so much.
success is not whatever definition your ego wants to think of success. Success is measured by the quality of your emotions. When you move
Yeah.
towards joy and excitement, you will vibrate at that level, and that you will see is success. You will see that you're at it in more, you're more peaceful, you're more loving, you're more inspired, because you are allowing yourself to be that which you already are, but you are probably right now bearing under layers and layers of what is not you, which is
Mm.
fear and scarcity and whatnot.
Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I'm so glad we did this. And I'm glad you also said you're going to come back again. So
Yes.
I will see you then. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for watching. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Bye bye.